What is the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra? It is not a scripture to be read. It is not a philosophy to be understood. It is an atomic bomb thrown into the comfortable sleep of the human mind. 5200 years ago, Shiva whispered these 112 techniques to his beloved Devi, not to create a religion, but to create a revolution. These are not teachings, these are detonators. If you touch even one of them sincerely, your identity will begin to dissolve. The mind, that old parasite, has created countless religions, philosophies, and prayers. But this Tantra is pure dynamite. It doesn't care about your gods, your morality, your traditions. It is ruthless compassion. It says, if you want truth, die to yourself completely. Look at the way the Vigyan Bhairav begins, not with commandments, not with sermons, but with a lover's question. Devi asks Shiva, what is your reality? What is this universe? How can one enter it beyond the mind? And Shiva answers, not in theory but in methods, precise inner alchemies. Each technique is a door, but the strange thing is, the door opens only when you disappear. The Tantra says, stop. Stop your endless search outside. Stop your spiritual shopping. For centuries, man has run from one belief to another like a beggar changing bowls, hoping that a different ball will make the soup taste better. This Tantra laughs at such stupidity. It says, you are the soup, you are the ball, you are the hunger, and you are the one who can end it all by awakening now. It does not say, believe. It says, experiment. You are the laboratory, your body the temple, your awareness the scientist. But people are cowards. They prefer to worship Shiva's statue rather than meet the living fire he represents. They want comfort, not consciousness. That's why this book is almost unknown, even in the land of its birth. It is too dangerous. Each sutra is like a blade. It cuts through your illusions. Watch the gap between two breaths, says Shiva. Try it, and instantly you'll see. The breath comes, the breath goes, but you are neither. The whole world moves, and there, at the center, you are still untouched. One moment of such awareness, and lifetimes of philosophy become garbage. Shiva's approach is shocking in its simplicity. He says, between two thoughts, look. Between inhaling and exhaling, watch. Between one emotion dying and another being born, remain alert. This, between, is the key. In that gap there is no time, no mind, no name. Only pure consciousness, Bhairav itself. But man lives in continuity, one thought pushing the next, one desire birthing another. He is afraid of gaps because gaps feel like death. And Tantra says, exactly, die there. In that death, you will know immortality, not as a belief, but as your own experience. The Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is the most scientific manual ever created for dissolving the illusion of self. It doesn't ask for faith, it asks for awareness. And that's why it threatens every priest, every organized religion, every ideology. Because the moment you know truth directly, the priest becomes unemployed. Tantra is rebellion in its purest form. It doesn't say, follow. It says, experience. It doesn't say, renounce. It says, become total. It doesn't divide the world into sacred and profane. It says everything is sacred if you are aware. The so-called spiritual man condemns the body. Tantra bows down to it, saying, this very body, the door to the divine. The spiritualist prays to escape the senses. Tantra says, use the senses, but use them consciously. That's the difference. Tantra doesn't suppress, it transforms. You can close your eyes in fear of the world, or you can close your eyes to penetrate yourself. The first is cowardice, the second is revolution. Every religion in the world has promised paradise after death. Tantra says, awaken now, and paradise is here. That's why this scripture is dangerous, because it gives freedom instantly. And freedom terrifies those who live by control. These 112 techniques are not philosophies. They are tools. They are experiments, each capable of shifting your entire consciousness in an instant. For example, one method says, while being caressed, be as if entering the infinite sky. It shocks the pious mind, but that is the point. It says, even in passion, don't lose awareness. When pleasure comes, don't drown, watch. In that watching, passion becomes prayer. Another technique says, in the moment before sleep, be aware of the gap. Just a few seconds before sleep overtakes you. If awareness remains, you enter the same space where Buddha remained 24 hours a day. There are methods using sound, light, fear, love, even anger. Tantra says, anything can become your door if you are present. A drop of water falling, a bird's cry, a heartbeat, all can be entry points into the infinite. That is the power of this scripture. It democratizes enlightenment. You don't have to be a monk, a saint, a scholar. You just need to be alive and aware. But remember, Tantra is not for intellectual tourists. It is not for those who collect spiritual methods like souvenirs. It is for the few who are ready to risk everything, even themselves. If you touch these sutras casually, they can be poison, because they will shake your foundation. But if you run away halfway, you will live in fragments, neither in the world nor beyond. That is why the ancient masters transmitted them in whispers, from master to disciple, heart to heart. It was never meant for the curious crowd. Today, everyone wants instant enlightenment, weekend awakening, spiritual entertainment. They read a few techniques, try a few meditations, and expect cosmic fireworks. Tantra laughs. It says, first, kill the one who is expecting. Only when the expector is gone, the explosion happens. Every sutra of the Vigyan Bhairav demands one thing, totality. Don't do half meditation. Don't live half-heartedly. Either jump completely or don't bother. Because the half-hearted will only accumulate confusion. When you watch the breath, watch totally, as if nothing else exists. When you eat, eat totally. When you love, love totally. When you are angry, be angry with full awareness. Then even anger becomes luminous. Even jealousy burns itself into clarity. Because awareness is a fire that purifies everything it touches. You don't have to destroy anything, just bring awareness to it. That's the central message of Tantra. To enter the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is to enter the unknown naked. No beliefs, no scriptures, no gods to protect you. You walk alone, and that aloneness becomes your liberation. People are terrified of being alone because they don't know the difference between loneliness and aloneness. Loneliness is missing someone, aloneness is missing nothing. Tantra throws you into the ocean of aloneness, so vast, so silent, that the idea of you dissolves. And then, in that emptiness, something extraordinary happens. An energy that was trapped in your ego suddenly explodes. That explosion is Bhairav, the fierce, ecstatic consciousness beyond life and death. You disappear, and only awareness remains, shining, timeless, unbounded. The Vigyan Bhairav is beyond morality. It doesn't tell you what is good or bad. It simply shows you how to wake up. The good person and the bad person are both asleep if they are unconscious. The awakened one is beyond both. That's why society hates the awakened being, because he cannot be controlled. He follows no rules, no commandments, no herd. He lives from the center of his own awareness. And that is the ultimate freedom, the freedom not to follow, not to imitate, not to conform. This scripture burns every crutch you depend on, your gods, your dogmas, even your spiritual pride. It says, you alone are responsible for your sleep, and you alone can awaken. The Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is not just a book. It is an experiment in consciousness. Each technique is a challenge to your habitual patterns. If you are watching your breath and suddenly realize that you are not the body breathing, not the thoughts floating, but something vast and silent, the experiment has succeeded. If you can walk through a crowd yet remain untouched, if you can see the storm of emotions within but remain the watcher, the experiment has succeeded. And when even the watcher disappears, when only witnessing remains, that is the final explosion. Then you don't know truth. You are truth. The last illusion to fall is the seeker himself. Even the desire for enlightenment becomes a chain. You meditate, you practice, you purify. But secretly the ego says, I am becoming spiritual. Tantra smiles and whispers, drop even that. When there is no one left to meditate, meditation flowers. When there is no one left to reach, arrival happens. When there is no one left to seek, realization dawns. That is the beauty of this scripture. It begins with techniques but ends in surrender. At first, you are told, do this, do that, 112 ways. But finally, you discover that all doing is the barrier. When all effort drops, when you are utterly still, then Shiva's silence speaks through you. To live this teaching is not to renounce the world. It is to see the world rightly, to walk, to eat, to love, to breathe. Everything becomes meditation when awareness penetrates it. You can live in the marketplace and be more meditative than a monk in the monastery. Because it's not about the place, it's about presence. If you can remain centered in chaos, if you can remain silent while the world screams around you, you have entered the state of Bhairav. Then pleasure and pain, success and failure, life and death, all become waves on the same infinite ocean. The Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is the distilled essence of all spiritual paths, yet it belongs to none. It is not Hindu, not Buddhist, not Shaivite. It is existential. It is the language of consciousness itself. If you understand even one sutra deeply, the rest are unnecessary. Because the point is not the technique, the point is awareness. The technique is just a finger pointing to the moon. But fools worship the finger and miss the moon. Tantra says, look beyond the method to the consciousness behind it. That consciousness is you. When awareness becomes total, you explode. Not in light, not in sound, but in silence. A silence that is not absence, but presence, overflowing, alive, dancing. This explosion is the birth of the real you. And yet it is not a birth, because you were never born, you only forgot. The Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is a manual for remembrance. It teaches you how to peel away the dust of centuries and rediscover your own face. Not the face your mirror shows, but the face that was there before birth and will be after death. That is Bhairav, the pure, formless consciousness beyond all boundaries. So, the question is not, what is this scripture about? The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop being a believer and become an explorer? Are you ready to destroy your comfortable illusions and face your own naked truth? Are you ready to be burned, Not improved? Because this Tantra does not give you peace, it gives you awakening. It does not console, it confronts. It does not make you holy, it makes you whole. In the end, Devi is silent. She has received 112 keys, but she needs only one: awareness. And in that awareness, the lover and the beloved dissolve. Only consciousness remains, dancing as existence. That dance is Bhairav. That silence is Tantra. That realization is the death of the old and the birth of the eternal. So, if you dare, enter the experiment. Forget the words, forget the teacher, forget the scriptures, just be present. Watch the breath, watch the gap, watch the watcher. And when watching becomes effortless, when you no longer know who watches, when only awareness remains, then the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra has fulfilled its purpose. You have crossed from mind to no mind, from time to timelessness, from death to the deathless. That is the ultimate explosion, the awakening of Bhairav within you.